The taxi dropped me at my front door. I was 62 years old and I felt like 100. My chest hurt from the surgery. Every breath reminded me that I almost didn't make it. 23 days in that hospital bed. 23 days where nobody came to see me. Not once. I pushed open the door with my weak hands. The house smelled different, like someone else lived here now. I walked slowly to the kitchen, dragging my small bag behind me, and that's when I saw it. A brand new refrigerator, shiny, silver, standing right next to my old one like it owned the place. I stopped walking. My brain couldn't understand what I was seeing. Why were there two fridges in MY kitchen? Oh, you're back. I turned around. My son Thomas stood in the doorway. He was eating chips from a bag. He didn't smile. He didn't ask how I was feeling. He just stared at me. Thomas, I said quietly, what is this new fridge doing here? He took another chip, crunched it loudly. That's MY fridge, Dad, for my stuff and Jessica's stuff. Don't touch it. My daughter-in-law, Jessica, walked in behind him. She was carrying a roll of bright pink tape, the kind kids use for art projects. She didn't even look at me, just walked straight to that new fridge and opened it. Inside, I could see expensive food. Steaks, fancy cheese, chocolates, wine bottles, things I could never afford with my small pension. Jessica started putting pink tape on every shelf. Then she wrote on each piece with a thick black marker, Jessica, 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 over and over, on every single shelf. What are you doing? I asked. My voice came out like a whisper. Making sure there's no confusion, she said, still not looking at me. This fridge is ours. We bought it with our money. Your fridge is that old one over there. Keep your cheap food separate from our good stuff. I felt like someone punched me in the stomach. This was MY House. The house I worked 40 years to pay for, and they were treating me like I was a stranger. But this is my home, I said. Thomas laughed, actually laughed. Yeah, Dad, you're home, but we live here too, remember? And honestly, your pension barely buys anything decent, so we got our own fridge. Simple. Simple, that word felt like a slap. I looked at my old fridge. I opened it slowly. Inside was almost nothing. 3 eggs, some old bread, a small piece of cheese, half a bottle of milk. That was all I had to eat. Then I looked at their fridge again, completely full, overflowing with food. More food than 2 people could eat in a month. We work hard for our food, Jessica said, closing her fridge with a loud bang. We deserve nice things. You understand, don't you, Robert? No, I didn't understand. I didn't understand how my own son could do this. I raised him alone after his mother left us when he was 5. I worked 2 jobs. I missed his school plays because I was working. I sold my father's watch to buy him a computer for college. And this was how he treated me. I'm going to rest, I said. My legs felt like they would break. Sure, Dad, your room is down the hall, Thomas said. The small one. The small one. It used to be my storage room. Now it was my room because Thomas and Jessica took in my bedroom. The big one with the nice window and the soft carpet. I walked down the hall like a ghost. Behind me, I heard them laughing, opening their fridge, pouring wine, celebrating something, maybe celebrating that I was finally out of their way. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay on the tiny bed in the tiny room and stared at the ceiling. My chest still hurt from the surgery, but my heart hurt more. I thought about calling someone, but who? I had no family except Thomas. My friends from work were all gone or moved away. I was alone. Through the thin walls, I could hear them talking in the living room. How much longer do you think? That was Jessica's voice. I don't know, maybe a few years. The doctor said his heart is weak. Thomas, my son, talking about me like I was a problem to solve. Well, when he's gone, this house is ours. We can sell it. It's worth at least $300,000. We'll finally have real money. My hands started shaking. They were waiting for me to die so they could take my house. The house I built with my own hands. The house where I raised Thomas, where his mother left us, where we cried together and laughed together. They wanted me dead. I got up slowly. I walked to the kitchen. I needed water. My throat felt like sand. In the kitchen, both fridges hummed quietly in the dark. I opened mine. The light inside was dim and yellow. It made my 3 eggs look sad and lonely. Then I looked at their fridge. All those pink tapes with Jessica's name glowing in the light from the street outside. Something inside me broke, but it wasn't sadness anymore. It was something else. Something that made me stand up straighter. Something that made my hands stop shaking. I was not going to let them do this to me. I walked to the phone. I had a neighbor, Margaret. She was 70 years old but sharp as a knife. We sometimes had tea together before Thomas and Jessica moved in. I called her. It was late, but she answered. "Robert, is that you? Are you okay?" "Margaret," I said quietly, "I need help. Can you come over tomorrow morning, early, before they wake up?" "Of course, what's wrong?" "Everything," I whispered. "Everything is wrong." The next morning, Margaret arrived at 7. Thomas and Jessica were still sleeping. Lazy people who stayed up late and woke up late because they had no jobs to go to. Margaret looked at the 2 fridges. Her eyes went wide. "Oh, Robert," she said sadly, "what have they done to you?" I told her everything. About the hospital. About them never visiting. About the pink tapes and the cruel words. About overhearing them talk about waiting for me to die. Margaret's face turned red with anger. "This is elder abuse, Robert. That's what this is called. It's a crime." "I don't want to send my son to jail," I said quickly. "Then what do you want?" I thought about it. What did I want? I wanted my son back. The little boy who used to hug me and say, "I love you, Daddy." But that boy was gone. He disappeared somewhere along the way, and in his place was this stranger who saw me as a burden. "I want them to leave," I said finally. "I want my house back. I want my life back." Margaret nodded. "Then we need to be smart about this, very smart." Margaret made phone calls. She knew a lawyer, a good one who helped old people for free. His name was Mr. Chen. He arrived at my house an hour later. Mr. Chen was a small man with big glasses, but when he talked, his voice was strong and clear. "Mr. Robert," he said, shaking my hand gently, "tell me everything." I told him the whole story again. He wrote notes in a little book. He took pictures of the 2 fridges. He photographed the pink tapes with Jessica's name. "Do they pay rent?" he asked. "No, they said they needed help, just for a few months. That was 2 years ago." "Do they pay for food, bills, anything?" "No, they say they're looking for work, but Jessica buys expensive clothes. Thomas bought a new gaming computer last month." Mr. Chen nodded slowly. "With what money?" That's when I realized. My money. They were using my pension. The money that came into my bank account every month. Thomas had access to it because I let him help me with the bills. I trusted him. "Mr. Robert," Mr. Chen said seriously, "I need to check your bank account. Can you give me permission?" We went to the bank that afternoon. The bank manager was a kind woman named Mrs. Lopez. When Mr. Chen explained the situation, her face became very serious. She printed out my bank statements for the last 2 years, page after page after page. "Mr. Robert," she said gently, "did you buy a new television for $4,000 last year?" "No." "Did you send money to someone named Jay Parker for business investment? $5,000. "No." "Who is Jay Parker?" Mrs. Lopez looked at Mr. Chen. "Jay Parker is Jessica Parker, before she married Thomas." My chest felt tight again. "How much?" I asked. "How much money is gone?" Mrs. Lopez added numbers on her computer. Her fingers moved fast. Then she stopped. She looked at me with sad eyes. "In 2 years, they took $83,000 from your account." The room started spinning. $83,000. That was almost everything I had saved in my entire life. 40 years of work. Gone. "Can we get it back?" Margaret asked. "We can try," Mr. Chen said. "But first, we need to stop them from taking more. Mrs. Lopez, please remove Thomas from this account immediately. Change all passwords. Mr. Robert will be the only person who can access it." "Done," Mrs. Lopez said, typing quickly. We returned to my house at 4 o'clock. Thomas and Jessica were in the living room watching TV, MYTV, that I paid for. When they saw Mr. Chen and Margaret with me, Thomas stood up fast. "Dad, what's going on? Who are these people?" "Sit down, Thomas," Mr. Chen said. His voice was calm but scary. "We need to talk." Jessica grabbed Thomas's arm. "We don't have to talk to anyone. This is our home too." "Actually," Mr. Chen said, pulling out papers, "this is only Robert's home. You are guests. Guests who have stayed too long and stolen too much." "Stolen?" Thomas's face turned white. "What are you talking about?" Mr. Chen put the bank statements on the coffee table. $83,000, taken from your father's account over 2 years. New TV, new computer, expensive clothes, restaurant bills, all paid with money you stole from a sick old man who can barely afford bread. Jessica started crying. Fake tears. I knew they were fake because her eyes looked angry, not sad. "We were borrowing it," she said. "We were going to pay it back." "With what job?" Margaret asked. "Neither of you work." Mr. Chen handed Thomas an envelope. "This is an eviction notice. You have 24 hours to leave this house. If you refuse, the police will remove you, and we will press charges for theft and elder abuse." Thomas looked at me, really looked at me for the first time in years. "Dad, you're really doing this? Kicking out your own son?" I stood up. My legs were shaky, but I stood up straight and tall. "You kicked me out first, Thomas," I said. My voice didn't shake anymore. "You took my bedroom. You took my money. You put a fridge in MY kitchen and told me I wasn't good enough to share your food. You waited for me to die so you could take my house. You're not my son anymore. You're a thief, and thieves don't get to stay in my home." Jessica screamed. She called me terrible names. She threw things, but Mr. Chen stood between us like a wall. The next morning, they were gone. The house was quiet. Their fridge was empty, and they took it with them. Only MY old fridge remained, humming softly, loyally. Margaret brought me groceries, real food, fruit, vegetables, fresh bread. We filled my fridge together. "Are you okay?" she asked. I looked around my kitchen, in MY house. For the first time in 2 years, I felt like I could breathe. "Yes," I said, "I'm okay now." And you know what? The next day, they really did cry. Thomas called me, begging to come back, but I said no, because I finally learned that being alone is better than being with people who make you feel worthless. Sometimes, the hardest thing to do is to save yourself, even from your own family. Subscribe Granny's Voice. Remember, family should lift you up, not tear you down. If someone treats you badly, even if they're family, it's okay to say no. You deserve respect. You deserve love. Never forget that. See you in the next story.